Shri Guru Garanga Gandhar Vikagiri Dhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pavishkam Vishnupara Sutara Sutashmar Bhakti Vedanta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja Srila Guru Dev Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pavishkam Vishnupara Sutara Sutashmar Bhaktivedānta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupara Shuttara Shuttashmar Bhaktivedānta Swami Mahārāja Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupara Shuttara Shuttashmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura Ki Jai Nityal Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rūpa Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rūpa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadas Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parashad Vrinda Ki Jai Namachay Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौरमंडल ब्रजमंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय श्री भक्ति देवी की जय श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय जय The writings of Śrīla Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura ki jai Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranams Archana Mataji, Kana Haladar Prabhu, Yugala Kishore Kishori Didi, Ganga Mataji, Shah Sharmaji, and I don't know who else is there watching. If you write a comment, I'll see your name. I think maybe Indira Mataji is there. Dandavat Pranams. So, as I mentioned before, very soon we're going to continue going over the songs of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. We made it up to in Sharanagati, we made it up to the section called Bhajan Lalasa, which is it's a collection of Bhajan Lalasa is in part of Sharanagati, and it is 8 songs based on, well, no, it's 9 songs. There are 8 songs based on the first 8 verses of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī's Upadeśāmṛta, and also Ohe Vaishnav Thakur. That's also part of Bhajan Lalasa. But before we start going through Bhajan Lalasa, I thought it'd be nice to read through these articles that Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura wrote. There are 12 articles, 6 articles on the 6 impediments to bhakti in Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, like in Upadeśāmṛta verse 2, and another 6 articles on the things that nourish bhakti from Upadeśāmṛta verse 3. So, oh, and this is a new member of our household. Her name, we just gave her the name yesterday. We gave her the name Mangala. Subal gave her the name Mangala. Very sweet calf. I think she's 1.5 years old. So, all right, let's begin. Haribo Gokuleshwari Didi. She's still getting used to me, though. That's why I'm sitting out here, just so that she gets used to spending more time with me and gets more comfortable with me. But yeah. All right, let's begin. Maybe before we start with these articles, just so that we get the flow of Upadeśāmṛta, we can read verse 1 and verse 2. Wait. Okay, so verse 1 of Upadeśāmṛta by Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī on Haribol Gokuleshwari Didi. I think I already said it. Vacho vegam manasakrodha vegam jiva vegam udarupasta vegam etan vegan yovishaheta dhira sarvam api mang prithiving sashishyat. A wise and self-composed person who can subdue the impetus to speak, the agitation of the mind, the onset of anger, the vehemence of the tongue, the urge of the belly, and the agitation of the genitals, can instruct the entire world. In other words, all persons may become disciples of such a self-controlled person. And now, verse 2, this is what we're going to be going over now. The 6 impediments to bhakti. Atyāhara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha jana sangaschalolyangcha shadbhir bhaktir vinashyati. Okay, one second. Bhakti is destroyed by the following 6 kinds of faults. 1. Eating too much or collecting more than necessary. 2. Endeavors that are opposed to bhakti. 3. Useless mundane talks. 4. Failure to adopt essential regulations or fanatical adherence to regulations. 5. Association with persons who are opposed to bhakti. And 6. Greed or restlessness of the minds to adopt worthless opinions. So today we're going to be reading Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura's articles on 1 and 2, Atyāhara and Prayasa, eating too much or collecting more than necessary, and endeavors that are opposed to bhakti. And these articles, where do they appeared in? I have it right here. One second. They appeared in, where is it? Sajjana-toṣaṇī, volume 10, numbers 9 to 11. I actually, the devotee Anadi Krishna Prabhu, he shared with me the original Sajjana-toṣaṇī articles. I mean, like issues of Sajjana-toṣaṇī. I found it yesterday. Well, let me just see if I can find it again. It should be in recents because I just opened it up yesterday. Okay, there it is. One second, I'm just putting it up on the screen so you can see. Look at this. This is the first, like this is the original printing of this, the article that we're going to be reading today. I think I wrote down the page number. One second, let me see. Yes, 149 in the PDF. Okay, so 149. There. Here it is. So this is what we're reading now. This is this is how it was originally published. See, Sajjana-toṣaṇī says Shishi Godrum Chandraya Namaha Sajjana-toṣaṇī, and then Atyāhara. Be fun to, anyways, I'm not going to do that now, but Śrīmad Rūpa Gosvāmī Sviyakrita Upadeśāmṛta Grante E Shlokti Likhyāchen. That might be a fun thing to do sometime, is like read the Bengali, then read the English, read the Bengali, read the English. But I'm not sure. Maybe not so many people would be interested in that. Haribol, Nari Hari Prabhu, and Bhavatarani Mataji, and Manjari Didi. Haribol. Okay, so let's begin. Where is it? Here. Oh, and just yesterday evening, I got the inspiration to add in Srila Raghunath Das Goswami's Govardhan Ashraya Dashakam. Maybe at the end of the session we can take a look at it together and see. I want to see what you guys think. Um, yeah. Anyhow, let's continue with this. Let me make this big so you can see it clearly. It's been a while since I read this. Well, I read it when I proofread it in. I think this is from the GBP book that was originally there was just short commentaries on all the verses of Upadeśāmṛta, but then in 2018, if I remember correctly, this was we included these 12 articles written by Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. Because yeah, in the Hindi also, the original Hindi version of Upadeśāmṛta didn't have these 12 articles, and then it was republished with these 12 articles, and so then the English also followed that. The Hindi edition of my Srila Gurudev Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Okay. 1. Atyāhara, overeating or over collecting. In his Śrī Upadeśāmṛta, verse 2, Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī has written, Atyāhara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha jana sangaschalolyangcha shadbhir bhaktir vinashyati. And when we start the Bhaktivinoda Gita program, after we finish reading these articles, we will memorize all these verses. But I think after going over these 12 chapters, it should be pretty easy to remember these. I'm going to do 2 articles at a time. So today we're doing Atyāhara prayasascha. Tomorrow we'll do Prajalpa Niyamagraha. Then the day after that, we'll do Janasangash Chalolyamcha, like that. So, okay. Bhakti is destroyed by the following 6 kinds of faults. 1. Eating too much or collecting more than necessary. 2. Endeavoring for that which is opposed to bhakti. 3. Engaging in useless mundane talk. 4. Failing to adopt essential regulations or being fanatically attached to regulations. 5. Associating with persons who are opposed to bhakti. And 6. Possessing a greed or restlessness of mind to adopt worthless opinions. Okay. It is highly necessary to consider the deep meaning of this verse. For those who desire to engage themselves in the practice of supremely pure bhakti, it is essential to strictly follow this verse's instructions. For devotees who are lax in following these instructions, Hari Bhakti is rarely attained. I'm guessing it says durlabh, and sometimes durlabh is translated as like is not possible, like, impossible to attain. It is only for sincere practitioners whose hearts are eager to attain Bhagavad Bhakti that we are explaining the purport of this verse, in which the following 6 impediments on the path of bhakti are mentioned. 1. Atyāhara. 2. Prayasa. 3. Prajalpa. 4. Niyamagraha. 5. Janasanga. And 6. Lolya. We will sequentially describe each of the above-mentioned impediments. In the following short essay, we will describe the meaning of Atyāhara. The word Atyāhara does not mean only eating too much. The word Atyāhara, overeating, does not mean only eating too much. And if we break down the Sanskrit, the word ati It's ati and ahar. And then because of sandhi, it becomes atyāhara. So ati means too much. And then ahar usually means food. But but I guess Śrīla Bhaktivinoda, well, I just want to see, what does ahar, how is it ahar defined in the dictionary? Because maybe ahar has more meanings also. 1 second, let me just open up a new window. Here, I'll bring the Sanskrit dictionary over here. Sorry, just 1 second. Ahar. Whatever. Let's type it. Ahar. Let's see what dictionary says. Too much ahar. Ahar is, oops. Ahar is going to fetch, taking food, livelihood, bringing, procuring. So, okay, so it means two things. It means fetching, collecting, like that, bringing things, or it can also mean food. So it has two meanings. Too much collecting or too much food, too much eating. Okay. The first verse of Śrī Upadeśāmṛta mentions Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jiva vegam udarupasta vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira sarvam api mang prithiving sashishyat. He who can tolerate the urge to speak, the urge of the mind, the urge of anger, the urge of the tongue, the urge of the belly, and the urge of the genitals, and does not deviate, that is, remains steady, he is a sober person and can instruct the entire world. Haribol Chatamai Mataji. Here, the urge of the tongue, Jiva Vega, indicates the desire to taste palatable foods, and the urge of the belly, Udara Veg. Okay, sorry. Jiva Veg indicates the desire to taste palatable foods, and Udara Veg indicates the desire to overeat. If we also understand the word Atyāhara to mean the desire to overeat, then because Śrī Upadeśāmṛta is presented as a concise compilation of the essence of the principles of bhakti, such a definition would possess the fault of repetition or redundancy. In this situation, oh, sorry, never mind. In this situation, it is incumbent on the readers to correctly investigate any additional purports of the word Atyāhara that the exceedingly profound personality Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī has given. There is no doubt that the primary meaning of the word ahar is food. But the word food also implies the enjoyment of the five senses. For example, form is food for the eyes. Sound is food for the ears. Fragrance is food for the nose. Taste is food for the tongue. And the tactile sensations of smoothness, roughness, coolness, warmth, and other sensations are food for the skin. Embodied souls will invariably enjoy these sense objects. Without doing so, it is impossible for them to sustain their lives. If the conditioned living entities were to completely abandon sense enjoyment, they would surely leave their body. Therefore, total renunciation of sense objects is simply an imaginary concept. In reality, it is not possible. What then are we to do in such a situation? It is our duty to maintain our lives in a way that is favorable for bhakti. Shri Krishna has instructed Arjuna as follows. Nahi kaschid kshanamapi jatu tishtyatya karma krit karyate yavasha karma sarva prakriti jargunai karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudatma Mityāchāra sa uchyate. Third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verses 5 to 6. No one can remain inactive, not even for a moment. Everyone is impelled to act under the influence of such qualities as attachment and hate, which are born of one's nature. A deluded person who forcibly restrains his deluded person who forcibly restrains his working senses while internally meditating on sense objects is to be known as a hypocrite. No person can, at any time, exist without performing some action. In other words, although a person with an impure consciousness may renounce the pious action, the karma prescribed in Shastra, he is induced to continue performing activities related to practical life due to his being subject to the modes of material nature. Therefore, he is not to renounce those actions that Shastra prescribes as a means to purify the consciousness. How will a person whose consciousness has not been purified benefit by externally or forcefully controlling his working senses, such as his arms, legs, and speech? He will continue to meditate on the objects of his active senses and thus be known as a foolish hypocrite. No one can live for a moment without performing action. Therefore, it is essential to perform action that is beneficial. If that action is performed with indifference to Bhagavad Bhakti, however, it will be the cause of material bondage. For this reason, the action required to sustain one's life should be favorable for Bhagavad Bhakti. Only then is it Bhakti Yoga. The procedure for accepting sense objects. Shri Krishna further mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Natyashnatas tu yogosti, na chaikantam anashnata, na chati swapnashilasya, jagrato naivacharjuna, Yuktahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkhaha. Chapter 6, verses 16 to 17. Krishna says, this yoga cannot be perfected by those who eat excessively, eat too little, sleep excessively, or sleep too little. Rather, this yoga, which destroys suffering, is perfected by those who regulate their eating and enjoyment, as well as their sleep and wakefulness. Let's just look at so nati ashnata and na chaikantam anashnata. So not by eating too much, I guess, and not by not eating enough. This yoga, one cannot engage in yoga. He eats too much or too little. And if he swapna shilasya, if there's nachati swapna shilasya, if there's too much ati swapna, that means too much sleeping. And shil means like he's inclined towards too much sleeping. Or jagrato naivacha, or if there's ati, like too much awakening, like not sleeping enough, then yeah. Okay. Now there's now verses 8 to 9. And it's the same chapter. No. Chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita, verses 8 to 9. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavit pashyan shrinvan sprishan jigram ashnan gachan sapangshvasan pralapan visrijan grihnan unmishan nimishan api indriyanindriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayan. So this means a karmi sees, hears, touches, smells, eats, walks, sleeps, breathes, talks, renounces, accepts, and opens and shuts his eyes. But because his knowledge of the absolute truth, because of his knowledge of the absolute truth is tattva gyan, he believes, I am not doing anything. It is only this body in which I am situated that is doing everything. Being bound by ignorance, I only assess and reflect on these actions. After self-realization is attained, the mentality of being the doer and enjoyer is removed. Those who eat too much or too little, and those who sleep too much or too little, this is Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura again. Those who sleep too much or too little do not attain perfection in yoga, whereas a person who eats, enjoys, and sleeps moderately, according to his needs, does. The sadhak should reflect in this way. All my senses are wandering after the objects of the senses, but I am a pure soul, and therefore beyond such things. One should accept the objects of the senses with such discrimination. The renunciation of, and I think just one thing to consider for everybody, it's different. Some people need extra sleep. Some people's bodies require 8 hours of sleep. Some people can get by on 5 hours of sleep. Some people, like lots of kids, need 9 hours of sleep. So we have to see, so there isn't like a set rule for everybody. Everybody should sleep this many hours, or everybody should do this. But we have to see according to like how much is required for eating, what way we can fast. When I was in Vrindavan just now, Baijantimala Mataji was mentioning to me once when Gurudev was, there's a darshan with my Gurudev in his, room full of people. And he was going through the different devotees in the audience and saying, on Ekadashi, you can do nirjal. On Ekadashi, no, you must eat extra. And he was going through the room just telling everybody how they should follow Ekadashi according to their body type. Some people were required to eat a lot. Some people didn't need to eat so much. And so with all the different practices that we follow, we have to do it according to our own body. Yeah, never too much or too little. Everybody has different requirements. Okay. The renunciation of karma and gyan leads to perfection in bhakti yoga. Although this instruction to accept the objects of the senses with discrimination seems more relevant to gyan, it can also be favorable for bhakti. The concluding verse of Bhagavad Gita instructs complete surrender, sharanagati, indicating that the process of fruit of action of karma and acquiring knowledge of impersonal Brahma, Gyan, are to be completely given up, and that all sense objects are to be accepted with the understanding that they are the mercy of Bhagavan. In this way, perfection in bhakti is attained. Implementing yukta vairagya in one's life. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī mentions in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in the eastern section, part 2, verses 125 to 126, or chapter 2, sorry, 125 to 126. Anasakta, sorry, this is a definition of yukta vairagya, yeah, okay. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjata nirbandha krishna sambandhe yukta vairagyam uchyate prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshubi parityago vairagyam falgukatyate. Appropriate renunciation, yukta vairagya, is to accept objects favorable for one's service to Shri Krishna, while being detached from that which is unrelated to him, and ardently attached to that which is related to him. So we're detached from that which is unrelated to Krishna and ardently attached to that which is related to him. Any object related to Krishna, anything that can be used in the service of Krishna. Anything that can't be used in the service of Krishna, we're detached from that. Persons who desire liberation renounce the scriptures, the deity, the holy name, Mahaprasad, Sri Guru, and anything else that is related to Hari, considering them to be worldly. This is called false renunciation, Falgu Vairagya. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī has revealed the purport of the above-mentioned 2 verses by advising sadhaks to abandon over-collecting, Atyāhara. The purport here is that accepting the objects of the senses with the inclination to enjoy them falls in the category of Atyāhara. But if we accept in moderate quantities those things that are favorable for bhakti, understanding them to be Bhagavan's mercy, Bhagavat Prasad, then it is not Atyāhara. When the objects of the senses are received with simplicity and regarded as Bhagavan's mercy, they become Yuktahara, are appropriate objects of consumption on the path of bhakti. That's interesting. That word ahara is again, Yuktahara viharasya. That's interesting. I just never thought about it. Okay. So that's like appropriate collection. Yuktahara. Yukta Vairagya is easily achieved in this way. Sriman Mahaprabhu instructed, accept the objects of the senses with detachment and constantly chant Krishna Nam. Do not endeavor for opulent food or clothing, except whatever pure Bhagavat Prasad is attained through little effort. This regulation is to be carried out by a devotee throughout the course of his life. What is that verse? Bhalo na kaibe, bhalo na poribe. Okay. One should accumulate objects in accordance with one's objective. By collecting more than necessary, the sadhak, being subjugated by fondness for the objects he has collected, will not attain his highest goal. He will not attain the paramartha if he collects more than necessary. Why? Because he'll be subjugated by fondness for the objects he's collected. And by accepting less than is necessary, he will be unable to maintain his body, which is useful for performing bhajan. The first verse of Śrī Upadeśāmṛta gives the instruction to control the urges of the tongue and the belly. The purport is that a worldly person, or one bound by Maya, being either distressed by hunger pains or extremely agitated upon seeing palatable foodstuffs in front of him, runs to eat them. This is one type of material urge. When such an urge is strongly present in the heart of the sadhak, he must immediately subdue that urge by devotional contemplation. The second verse of Śrī Upadeśāmṛta gives the instruction to renounce Atyāhara, which is an eternal principle of bhakti sadhan. The Atyāhara of householders and that of renunciants are categorically different. One second, let me just move this computer to the side. Oh, Haribol Vidyalala Sadhi. And Haribol Kishore Prabhu. One second, let me just move this computer a little bit to the side here. There, that's better. Sorry. I have this external monitor, new monitor set up. It's connected to my computer, so my computer's really heavy. Okay, so the Atyāhara of householders and that of renunciates are categorically different. There's one more point in this regard. There are different considerations for householders, for grihastas, and for renunciates, for tyagis, in regard to Atyāhara. In accordance with his religious duty, dharma, a householder can earn and collect whatever is necessary for the maintenance of his family. With those assets, he can serve Bhagavan and his devotees, maintain his family, welcome guests, and manage his life. Although householders may earn and collect, if they endeavor to collect more than necessary, it becomes an obstacle to their practice of bhakti and to receiving Krishna's mercy. Both earning and collecting more than required are Atyāhara. Of this, there is no doubt. Oops, I forgot to hold my mic. Sorry. Usually I have a mic stand and I just forgot. Anyways, hopefully you heard that. Renunciates, however, should never accumulate anything. They incur the fault of Atyāhara by being dissatisfied with their daily collection of alms. To eat excessively upon receiving palatable foodstuffs is also Atyāhara. Therefore, both householders and renunciate Vaishnava practitioners should carefully deliberate on Atyāhara in regard to their respective positions and perform Krishna bhajan while remaining far from this fault. In this way, they will very soon attain the mercy of Shri Krishna. Okay, so that is that Atyāhara. One thing in there in the Sharanagati songs, there are quite a few songs, which, well, 3 songs immediately come to mind. No, there are more than that. In Sharanagati, which are very helpful for cultivating this renunciation of Atyāhara. One song that we just sang last night in with the villagers here is Amara bolite Prabhu ar kichunai. Tumi I amara mata pita bandhu bhai. That one's a very nice one. If anybody wants to look that up in the songbook, you can look up Amara bolite Prabhu. Okay. So now, article number 2. Prayasa. What time is it? 7:41. Okay. Prayasa. Over endeavoring. Bhakti does not appear unless one first renounces prayasa. The word prayas in the second verse of Sri Upadeśāmṛta indicates exertion or effort. The ultimate, I'm just thinking of verses from, anyways, let's continue. The ultimate attainment is pure devotion to Bhagavan and nothing else. Surrender, Sharanagati, and being under guidance, Anugatya, are symptoms of devotion to the lotus feet of Bhagavan, and both comprise the perfected nature and eternal occupation of the living entity. Therefore, Bhakti is the living entity's natural function or an innate activity. Although an innate activity does not require endeavor, performing bhakti sadhana requires a slight amount of endeavor when the living entity is in a conditioned state. All other types of endeavors aside from this slight endeavor are unfavorable for bhakti. There are 2 types of prayas. I'm wondering, do you think it would be good, like, should we just do one article a day instead of 2 articles? Maybe that would be easy. Like, I don't want to overwhelm people. We've been reading for 40 minutes. It'll probably take like half an hour, and that means it would go 10 minutes overtime. So I'm thinking actually we will just stop here for today. Yeah, and then I'll just do 1 article a day. I think that would be good. And also that helps me a bit because these programs are easy. I don't need to do any preparation. And right now I really need to focus on the songbook. Do you want to see the song I'm thinking of adding? I haven't actually read all the translations for it myself. And so it's the Govardhan Ashraya Dashakam by Śrīla Raghunath Das Goswami. With this new Gaudiya Giti Gucha, we're trying to make really trying to make everything complete. And so we have Śrīla Raghunath Das Goswami's Govardhan Vas Prarthana Dashakam, but he wrote 2 ashtakams. Yeah, and Chatamai Mataji says 1 article per day is digestible. Perfect. I agree. Cool. Great. So we'll do 1 article per day. But yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, Govardhan Ashraya Dashakam. Let's take a look and let's see if you think we should include this in the Gaudiya Giti Gucha. It was published in Rays of the Harmonist. I will probably end up changing the translation quite significantly because the style of the translations in the songbook are, where is it? I opened it up late. Let me just find it 1 second. I looked at it. I opened it up this morning, but I didn't read it. Here. Okay, so this is the Govardhan Ashraya Dashakam by Śrīla Raghunath Das Goswami. It's in the same meter as the Shad Goswami Ashtakam. Right? Let's see. Saptaham murajit karam bhujapari brajat kanishtanguli. Yeah. Prodyarval goviratako parimilan mugda dire phopia patak. Yeah, so it's that same meter. I think it's called Shardula Vrikridita, if I remember correctly. So we'll read the translation and then you can let me know. Should we add this into the Gaudiya Giti Gucha? Govardhan is he who, while resting upon the world-like little finger of Sri Krishna's lotus hands, like an enamored bumblebee for 1 week, protected Raj from the frightful rains which poured forth from the mouth of the crocodile Indra. Chakra. Interesting. Who would not render service to the best of mountains, Govardhan, the dearest friend of Gokul? Realizing that Sri Krishna had protected Gokul by lifting Govardhan, Surabhi, who had been brought there by Indra, established Krishna as the lord of the cows by bathing him in the Ganga water at a nearby solitary place. The water from this bathing ceremony became Govindakund, which even today gives great delight to everyone's eyes. What intelligent person would not take shelter of that Govardhan, the place where Vrajendra Nandan enjoyed resting? That's nice. It's mentioning Govindakund, whole verse about Govindakund. So imagine when you're doing Govardhan Parikrama, you can, when we get to Govindakund, we could sing this verse. Or just when you're at home, wherever you are in the world, so you can remember Govindakund. I like that when it mentions specific places. His glories are so great that he is to be embraced within the heart more than, Govardhan, is to be embraced within the heart more than the tirthas, than the holy places, such as Ganga, etc. He bestows bhakti, supreme auspiciousness, and prem. He is loved by Sri Krishna, Baladev, Brahma, Shiva, and the Apsaras. He is splendorously encircled by many ponds, headed by Sri Dhanakund. I wonder where Dhanakund is. And his glories were sung in a special way by the most venerated sage, Sri Shukadev. What person who strictly adheres to their spiritual vows would not take shelter of that Govardhan? He is decorated with many waterfalls and is wonderfully surrounded by numerous ponds named Jyotsna, Mokshana, Malyahara, Sumana, Gauri, Balari Dwaja, and Gandharva. I know Gandharva Kund, but I don't know about any of these other ones. Interesting. He serves as a Singhasan for Sri Radhakrishna's Shringar Ras pastimes and provides the setting where Swayam Bhagavan himself enjoys pastimes as a cowherd boy. He is so charming due to the presence of many cows, deer, birds, and trees that he has become the topmost nourisher of Krishna's pastimes. Who would not take shelter of that Govardhan? Govardhan is more venerable than even Sri Mahadev. This is because he devoutly carries on his bowed head the pond which manifested from Sri Krishna's lotus feet, Shamakund, and the priceless jewel Śrī Radhakund, which is superior to even millions of Gangas. He is highly worshipable to the devotees due to being the perpetual object of Krishna's favor. Who in this world would not take shelter of that Govardhan? Oh, cool. Now there's a verse about Manasi Ganga. Becoming a boatman and seating the ras-filled Srimati Radhika in his boat. Shri Krishna steered the boat into the middle of turbulent waters. When Radhika became fearful due to the shaking of the boat and prayed to him for protection, he collected from her as a rescue fee the fulfillment of his amorous desires. Manasa Ganga, the river where this pastime took place, always flows at Govardhan, who facilitates the meeting of the youthful divine couple. What pious person would not take shelter of that Govardhan? There's a similar verse in Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Govardhan Ashtakam. How does it start? Yatraiva Gangam Anunaviradam Aruhya Krichrena. What is it? Anyways, that verse also tells that pastime. Surrounded by extremely beautiful Sakis who are worshipable for hundreds and hundreds of Lakshmis, and embellished with Shri Krishna's brilliantly fragrant arms around her neck, Srimati Radhika, the beloved of Madhav, danced in the Rasa Lila during Madhu Mas, the spring season. Even today, that place is celebrated as the second Rasa Stali. What pious person would not take shelter of that Govardhan, the place of such exalted pastimes? And that Rasa Stali isn't that like near Punchariki Lota? Like the when you're at the very edge of Govardhan, the big side. Then just a little bit, like once you start turning, right there is the Rasa Stali. We usually stop there and speak Hari Katha when we're doing Govardhan Parikrama. Usually we go there right after Apsara Kund and what is it?
Naval Kund.
Yeah.
Naval.
Yes. What is it? Naval
Kund.
Naval Kund. Okay, Naval Kund. Yes. Govardhan is where Sri Radha Krishna, pleased by the audacious words of their friends and repeatedly pierced by each other's laughter, as well as by the showers of their arrow-like sidelong glances, displayed the ever-fresh Leela of the tax quarrel, and where the entire atmosphere vibrates with the bliss of their ever-new pastimes. Who would not take shelter of that Govardhan? So this would be a nice verse to recite at Dangati. Now, verse 9. We're almost at the end. Govardhan is where Shri Krishna, accompanied by Baladev, Sridham, and other friends, took the cows out to graze and sang Ri Ri in a sweet voice. Govardhan is where, after making an arena of amorous battle within a secluded cave, Krishna enjoyed Cupid's sports with Srimati Radhika. Who would not take shelter of such an immensely fortunate Govardhan? Okay, this is the last verse, and then the verse after that is the benediction verse. So, neglecting the sun god's daughter Yamuna, other very high mountains, and Nandishwar, which is the shelter of the residents of Raj and the fulfiller of their heart's desires, Shri Krishna honored and worshipped Govardhan, the crown jewel of mountains, for the protection of Vrindavan. Who would not take shelter of that Govardhan? May this dashak, this poem of 10 verses, satisfy that most elevated, exalted jewel, and the all in all of my life, my Gurudev, Shri Rūpa Gosvāmī. It is by his mercy that this dashak, which grants one residence near the extraordinarily beautiful Giriraj Govardhan, has manifested from the mouth of such an old and blind man as myself. Jai Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai. So what do you say? Should I add it in the Gaudiya Giti Kucha? I think so. Yeah. Anyhow, we'll see. I might start working on it today though. All right, so that is our program for today. There's something I wanted to mention. I forgot what it was though. Anyhow, doesn't matter. So thank you so much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. I'll do a short Mahamantra and then I'll do a Jaidwani. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Haribol, Haribol, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Haribol. Jai Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Jai Srila Gurudev ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhaktivedānta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Srila Param Gurudev ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Shri Rūpa Anu Gaurya Guru Varga ki Jai. Jai Srila Satchidananda Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura ki Jai. Jai Shri Swaparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopigan ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrindadevi ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki Jai, Jai Shri Govardhan Dharan ki Jai, Jai Shri Srila Raghunath Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur's 12 articles ki Jai that we're reading. Jai Śrīla Raghunath Das Goswami's Govardhan Ashraya Dashakam ki Jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha. Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Pancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhu Bhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams, Archana Mataji, Kana Haladar Prabhu, Yugal Kishore Kishori Didi, Gokuleshwari Didi, Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Chatamai Mataji, Haribo. And let's see on YouTube and Facebook, Ganga Mataji, Shah Sharmaji, Vidyalala Sadiri, Kishore Prabhu, and okay, let's see. Chatamai Mataji says, this prayer contains many subtle pastimes that are hard to come by elsewhere. If there's room, definitely include it in the Giti Gucha. And Vidyalala Sadiri says, yes, definitely. And no, that's Kishore says, yes, definitely. And Vidyalala Sadiri says, yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's do it. I mean, first I have to get permission. But yeah, I think we should add it in because yeah, the more the better. All right. So yeah, our time's up. Thank you so much for joining today, and I'll see you all tomorrow to go over this article on the topic of prayasa, over endeavor. Yeah. Yes, Nri Hari Prabhu, were you about to say something? If anybody has anything they want to mention, now's the time. Otherwise, yeah, we'll end now. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining. And okay, Nri Hari Prabhu also says, yes, please. Okay, great. All right. Haribo. Dandavat pranams. See you tomorrow. Oh, one thing actually, right before I end. Right now I'm trying to go, I'm going over the verses of Brahma Samhita. I was going to add them into the song. Like actually, I already added them in, and I was about to send it to the person laying out the songbook. And then I looked at the first translation, and I noticed that it's not totally. Uh, I don't know. At least it wasn't very similar to the Bengali and Hindi translations. Um, and so, well, it wasn't to the Hindi Bengali translation in the Gaudiya Stotaratnamala and the Hindi translation in the Gaudiya Giti-gucca. But I think it was similar to the Hindi translation in the Hindi version of Brahma Samhita. So, but I was just looking at the words and it wasn't so clear the meaning. And so then I thought, oh, like the style of all the translations in the songbook, like we try to follow the same word order as much as possible. We don't add in anything that's not in directly in the Bengali or in the Sanskrit. And if we do add in anything, we put it in square brackets so that you know. And this translation was more of like a Bhav Anuvad, it had more like less literal translation. And so then I started going through the verses. I think we're going to need to retranslate it all. And so, because I have so many things on my plate right now, something I find helpful for myself is just going through the verses with you, like online here, like learning the verses or like trying to figure out the meaning of all the words together with everybody. And so I did that yesterday at 8 p.m. A couple people joined for a little bit and then they all left and then I was just by myself going through it. So I'm not sure if anybody would like this, but if anybody is interested, let me know and I will then we can try to learn the verses, try to figure out the meaning of each of all the Sanskrit words together. Um, but it's me learning, not me like teaching it, not explaining it. And so it'll be like kind of like how we did the how we did the Swaniyam Dashakam program. So if anybody's interested, I already did one video. You can see the first 5 verses. If that looks interesting to you, then send me a message and I'll do it again. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it again because nobody joined last time. So, all right. All right. Dandavat pranams. See you all tomorrow. Yeah. Or tonight if anybody wants to